Well, it's nice to be talking to you again. I'm sorry about the problem in getting the shared screen. As Dr. Dennis said, we are going to be talking about a very complex and large topic today, about the 37 requisites of enlightenment. I hope most of you have had the chance to have a quick look at my paper in the blog and have some idea on this understanding about what these 37 factors are. If not, unfortunately, when I talk about them, they may sound a bit technical and kind of full of jargon, Buddhist jargon. So I'll try my best. Let us, now we talked about Buddha's enlightenment in the previous sessions. Buddha became the Buddha at the age of 35 by realizing the Four Noble Truths. And the Four Noble Truths that the Buddha realized were that there is universal suffering, the first truth, and there is a cause for this suffering, and this suffering can be eradicated, and that is the best news that we get from the Buddha. So the third noble truth is that suffering can be eradicated by eradicating all the unwholesome roots like the greed and the hatred and delusion. And through enlightenment, one can attain Nibbana, which is a kind of state beyond all suffering, complete peace, happiness. And best of all, there's no rebirth in this samsara. So enlightenment and Nibbana is something that we can attain in this life itself, not after death. And of course, in the Theravada Buddhism, the ultimate goal of every Theravada practitioner is to gain enlightenment and Nibbana in this life itself. And Buddha in many discourses has described these 37 factors that we are supposed to cultivate and develop in order to attain enlightenment. And in Pali language, they are called Bodhipakya Dhamma. And in Sanskrit, they are called Bodhipaksha Dharma. So Bodhipakya Dharma, Bodhi means awakening or enlightenment. That is realization of the Four Noble Truths. And the Pakya means related to, kind of helpful. And Dhamma means requisites or qualities. So there are the 37 qualities or requisites that needs to be cultivated in order to gain enlightenment. And in many discourses, the Buddha has emphasized how important these 37 factors are. For example, if we take the Mahaparinibbana Sutta, that is from the collection of the Buddha's long discourses, the Digha Nikaya, before passing away, the Buddha was addressing the monks, and the Buddha told the monks, you should thoroughly learn, you should thoroughly cultivate, you should thoroughly develop and frequently practice them. So the life of purity, the holy life, can be established. So that was the Buddha's advice about the 37 requisites. And then another discourse, again in the Digha Nikaya, collection of the long discourses, called Pasadika Sutta. And to avoid any discrepancies or misinterpretations of the 37 factors, the Buddha told the monks, you should get together and recite them and compare meaning with meaning and compare text with text without any dissension, so that this path will last long. So Buddha has emphasized quite a lot about the importance of cultivating this 37. And within the 37 requisites, there are 7 groups of factors. And the first group is the 4 foundations of mindfulness. So there are 4 factors in that group, foundations. Second group is the 4 types of right efforts, 4 factors. Third group, 4 bases of mental power, Iddhipada, 4 factors. The fourth group is 5 spiritual faculties, 5 factors. 5 spiritual powers, 5 factors. 7 factors of enlightenment, Sapta Bojjhanga, 7 factors. And finally, again, the Noble Eightfold Path also included here, 8 factors. So total of 37. And how I try to remember is there are 3 groups of 4, that's 12, 2 groups of 5, that's 22, 1 group of 7, 29, and finally, final group of 8, 37. So let us look at them indeed. So 37 factors in 7 groups. And the first group is the foundation of mindfulness, Satipatthana. Satipatthana. Sati means mindfulness, and Patthana means foundation. And this obviously comes from the greatest probably of the discourse of the Buddha called Maha Satipatthana Sutta. And that's in the collection of the long discourses in the Digha Nikaya. It's also present in the middle discourses called Majjhima Nikaya. So this discourse is present in 2 collections, in the Digha Nikaya and Majjhima Nikaya. And the 4 foundations are contemplation of the body, contemplation of the feelings, contemplation of the mind, and contemplation of the mind objects. This really represents what we call ourselves, isn't it? So we got the body, contemplation of the body, the physical body, be mindful of that. And then the mental body, we are talking about the mind, the feelings, and the mind objects. So really maintaining mindfulness of the whole of ourselves. That's 4 foundations of mindfulness. And Buddha said how important this is. And in fact, probably out of the 17,000 plus discourses, probably this is the only discourse where the Buddha has given the results of the practice before giving the practice. So in the Satipatthana Sutta, before telling what the Satipatthana Sutta is, Buddha tells us, if you practice this as I tell you, this is the only way to purify yourself. This is the only way to overcome sorrow and lamentation. This is the way to get rid of physical, mental pain. This is the way to attain the noble paths. And this is for the realization of Nibbana. And this he tells before actually giving the instructions on the Satipatthana. So let us go on to the contemplation of the body. And there are six areas that Buddha has prescribed where we can maintain mindfulness on the body. The first one, obviously, is the most popular one, is the mindfulness on in and out breathing. That's anapanasati. So this is one of the 6 areas of maintaining mindfulness on in-breath and out-breath. And the second area is to maintain mindfulness of our postures. And in every waking second, we are in one of these 4 postures. We are either walking, standing, sitting, or lying down. So in each posture, when we walk, stand, sit, or lie, be mindfulness of our posture at that moment. So that's the second area. The third area is a clear understanding of all activities. So in addition to be mindfulness of the postures, everything that we physically do from the time we wake up in the morning till we go to sleep. We wake up in the morning, we brush our teeth, wash our face, dressed, make a cup of tea, have a cup of tea, eat, dressing, undressing, walking, running, standing, everything that we do during the day, do them mindfully and with wisdom. So that is the third group, Sampajanna Pabba. The fourth group is to be mindfulness about the 32 impurities of the body. Now, as you know, according to Buddhist teaching, our body consists of 32 different parts, starting with head hair, body hair, nails, teeth, skin, muscles, blood vessels, bone marrow, kidney, like that. It goes on. There are 32 parts. And to be mindfulness of all these 32 parts and how impure they are. That's the fourth group. The fifth group, Buddha goes into even deeper because the body consists of the 4 elements. The solid elements, the earth element is called Patavi. The liquid element, the water element is called Apo. The heat element is Tejo, and the air elements. So to be mindful of these 4 basic elements. And the last group is the mindfulness of the 9 stages of a decaying corpse. Obviously, this is not possible at the moment, but in the Buddha's days, people used to just throw away the dead bodies into open sort of cemeteries. And the monks are able to go and meditate on different stages of decaying of the dead bodies. And the Buddha described 9 stages. This is called Navasivatika. And as you can see, within these 6 groups, there are 14 techniques of meditation. So if you take the mindfulness in and out breathing, one technique, Anapanasati. Second, one technique, postures. Third, clear understanding of all activities. Then fourth, impurities. Fifth, 4 elements. And then the 9 stages of the decaying body are considered as 9 techniques. So the first 5 plus this 9 makes 14. There are 14 techniques of meditation included in this contemplation of the body. And in every area, when we contemplate on mindfulness, we contemplate them as just physical and mental phenomena, physical phenomena. There's no self, there's no I, there's no I, myself, there's no mind. Let us go into the second area of contemplation, is that contemplation of feelings. And the feelings, as we know, are of 3 different kinds. We have pleasant feelings, we have unpleasant or painful feelings, and we have neutral feelings. And with each feeling, Buddha wants us to be mindful of whether each feeling is sensual feelings, whether the feeling is coming from the sensual organs like the eye, the ear, the nose, the tongue, the body, or whether the feeling is non-sensual. That is, these are the feelings we get when we are doing meditation and when we are in deep absorption, so jhana. The feelings we are getting during the jhanas are non-sensual. They are not coming from the sense organs. Then again, when we contemplate on feelings, we contemplate feelings as just feelings. It's not my feeling, it's not me, there is no self in there. The third mindfulness is the mindful contemplation of the mind. And this is at every moment, we are mindfulness of our state of our mind. And Buddha has described 16 different states. If you can see, whether my mind has greed at the moment, or there's no greed in my mind, whether there's anger in my mind, whether there's no anger in my mind, whether there's delusion in my mind, whether there's no delusion, or is my mind is lazy, or whether it's distracted, developed, undeveloped. So there are 16 different mind states. Whenever it happens, we are just mindful of them without reacting. And again, I'm not identifying the mind state with me or I or myself. And the final one within the foundation is the foundation of the contemplation of the mind objects. And Buddha has described 5 groups of mind objects. These are dhammas that appear in the mind. So the first group are called the mental hindrances. They are called nivaranas. Second group are the 5 aggregates. I will go into it next. And then the 6 internal and external organs. sense bases. Then again, 7 factors of enlightenment and 4 noble truths. They are also included. I should have warned you before going into details. Within the 37 factors of enlightenment, there's a lot of repetition. Some of the factors are repeated again and again. So maybe the explanation is Buddha has given them in different contexts to different audiences. So if you take the effort, I'll talk about it later. Let us go into these groups first. So the first group are the 5 mental hindrances. So whenever we try to meditate, whether sitting or walking or whatever meditation we try to do, these 5 will come and disturb our mind. Sensual desires will come and disturb our mind. Or ill will, anger, hatred, feeling will come. Or we will feel lazy and sleepy, sloth and torpor. Or our mind can get restless and disturbed. Or various doubts can come up in our mind. So these are called the nivaranams. And again, when we meditate, we have to be mindful whether any of this is there or whether this is not there, whether it has come and gone. So just be mindfulness. There is a sensual feeling in my mind. There is anger in my mind. I feel lazy. I feel restless. Just be mindful without reacting, So those are the 4 foundations of mindfulness. And the 6 internal and external sense spaces are the eye and the visual objects, the ear and the sounds, the nose and the smells, tongue and the taste, body and the touch, and the mind and the mind objects. And the 7 factors of enlightenment, because we will be discussing it again, I will not describe it now. And then again, the 4 noble truths, we all know about it. We have discussed them, the truth of suffering, cause of suffering, cessation, and the path. So out of that 7 groups, we have discussed the 4 foundations of mindfulness. Let us go on to the second group. And that's the 4 types of effort, 4 factors. And the 4 factors of effort are we have to put effort to prevent any unwholesome states arising or appearing. Second, we have to put effort to abandon or eradicate or get rid of any unwholesome mental states that have arisen. Third, we have to put effort to cultivate any wholesome states that have not arisen yet. And the 4th, we have to put effort to maintain any wholesome mental states that have already arisen. So 4 aspects of effort. And the 3rd group is the 4 bases of mental power. Now, mental power means spiritual powers. And we have heard that when you meditate, let us say when you meditate on concentration meditation, you can develop certain deep absorption. So jhanas, the first jhana, second jhana, third jhana, and 4th jhana. And when one develops the 4th jhana, one can develop certain powers, certain iddhis. And these are referred to in this 4 bases of mental power. And they are called iddhis in Pali. Iddhis in Pali. And the Buddha mentioned 4 factors of mental power. And that is the desire. Now, not only in the spiritual path, in everyday life, whatever we try to do, we want to learn, we want to work, we want to learn some new skills. One must have a desire to do it, a will to do it, and that's called chanda. But having the desire to do is not enough. You have to put some effort into it. So the second factor is the effort. But the effort also needed to be maintained, you see, because you need effort to start something, and that's Buddha calls arambha dhatu, arambha virya, arambha effort. This is the effort that you have to put in before when we start doing something. But then you need effort to continue doing it in spite of any obstacles. And that's the second type of effort, nikkamadhatu. And finally, you need to put effort to complete anything that we have started doing, and that's called parakkamudhatu. So really the effort and energy is needed right throughout any task, not only in the spiritual path. And then the third factor is chitta, that's called consciousness of mind. This is really being mindful, attentive, and have determination to continue anything that we have started doing. And the fourth factor is the investigation or discrimination, vimansa. And right through any task, we have to keep investigating and analyzing and discriminating what is needed, what is not needed, which way we have to go, which way we should not go. So the investigation, this is kind of wisdom. And these four factors are needed to develop both mundane and supramundane mental powers. And let us go what these mental powers are. Let's see. I'm stuck again, go stuck. Okay. Now, these are the spiritual powers. There are 6 groups. The first group is the ability to perform miracles. And as I said, now this is really, this not Buddha. You don't have to be a Buddhist. These superpowers were there before the Buddha's time, during the Buddha's time, and obviously even now, probably people who develop the jhanas, they can develop these powers. And the ability to perform miracles is kind of, they say that you can fly, you can walk on water, you can go through the walls and all sorts of things. And the second power is the divine ear, that one could hear things that one could not normally hear. And the third one is divine. There's a power that you can develop to read others' mind. It's called Cheto Paryaya Jnana. And the fourth one is one could recollect one's own previous births, and it's called Pubbe Nivasanusati Jnana. And the fifth one is the divine eye, where you could see the birth and deaths of other people. And now all these, the first 5 powers, anybody can develop, whether you are Buddhist or not. But the 6th one is unique to Buddha's teaching, the Asavakya Jnana, the knowledge, the power to know that you have destroyed all your mental defilements. Now, if you can remember, on the night that the Buddha became the Buddha, he got the enlightenment. In the first part of the night, he developed this wisdom to see his own previous births. And in the second part of the night, he developed this wisdom to see the birth and death of other people, depending on their karma. And in the final part of the night, he's developed this wisdom, Asavakya Jnana. And that is when he realized, I have destroyed all my mental defilements. I am enlightened. I am a Buddha. So those the 4 factors help in development of these powers. And the fourth group is the spiritual faculties. And there are 5 factors. And these 5 factors, they are present to some degree in all of us, I think. It's all of us. But we have to keep developing them. And they are completely developed when we become an arahant. So the first factor is one need to have faith or conviction, saddha. And Buddha has described 2 types of saddha. The one, this amolika saddha, this is a blind faith. You just believe in anything through fear, through respect. But what Buddha advises us to have this second type of saddha, akaravati saddha. And this is evidence-based confidence. Through experience, through practice, you develop faith. So Buddha doesn't approve of this blind faith. In fact, Buddha says the blind faith can actually work against the spiritual path. And the second factor is the energy, the effort, virya. And as I said, there are 3 stages of virya. Arambaka, that is, you need effort to start something. You need effort to continue doing something in spite of obstacles. And you need effort, virya, to complete the task that you have undertaken. And the third factor is the mindfulness, sati. And this is coming from the 4 satipatthanas that we talked about. And the fourth spiritual faculty is concentration. This is one-pointedness of the mind that we practice. There are 40 objects of meditation, and selecting any object, we start meditating and develop the one-pointedness of the mind. And that is needed in the Buddhist path. And the fifth factor is the wisdom, panya. So the 5 faculties that we have to develop are the faith or conviction, energy or effort, mindfulness, samadhi, panya. They're called in Pali saddha, virya, sati, samadhi, panya. Now Buddha pointed out that there are 2 pairs within these 5 factors. If you take the faith and then wisdom, these 2 factors have to be in balance. Because if you have too much of faith and not much of wisdom, you keep doing a lot of things that are not necessary. That does not help. Whereas if you have too much wisdom and no faith, you become very critical and kind of questioning everything, and you don't advance. So the Buddha says there has to be a balance between the faith and the wisdom. And similarly, there has to be a balance between the effort and concentration. If you put too much effort in meditation without not much of concentration, then your mind becomes restless. Whereas if you develop too much of concentration with no effort, then you will feel sleepy and lazy and things like that. And the Buddha said, this mindfulness, sati, is the moderator. So this mindfulness is always keeping an eye to see whether the faith and the wisdom are in balance and energy and concentration are in balance. So the mindfulness is really the main factor out of the 5 factors. Now we have discussed 4 groups, and we will go to the 5th group, and that is called 5 spiritual powers. And as you can see, the 5 spiritual powers are same as the 5 spiritual faculties: faith, effort, mindfulness, concentration, and wisdom. What happens is, as we cultivate the path, as we develop further and further, the spiritual faculties also become advanced. And when you complete the path, when you become an arahant, they have become powers. The faculties become powers, and the powers means that nothing can disturb your faith, nothing can disturb your effort, nothing can disturb your mindfulness, concentration, or wisdom. And because of that, the same 5 spiritual faculties become spiritual powers. And the 6th group are the 7 factors of enlightenment, and they are called Saptabojjhanga. And the 7 factors of enlightenment are again mindfulness, sati, investigation of dhammas, that's analysis, investigation is called dhamma vichaya. Again, effort or energy, virya, rapture, priti, tranquility, passaddhi, concentration, samadhi, equanimity, upekha. Now, mindfulness, we have discussed under the 4 foundations of mindfulness. Now, dhamma vichaya, that is analysis and investigate. So throughout the path, we need to investigate the elements, the physical and the mental phenomena. And effort, again, I discussed the 4 types of efforts in 3 stages. So the 4 types of efforts is effort to make sure that unwholesome factors don't develop, effort to make sure that any unwholesome states that have developed, we try to eradicate them. You need effort to develop wholesome mental states, and you need efforts to get further develop wholesome states. And they are again done in 3 stages: the effort to start something, effort to maintain something in spite of any obstacles, and effort to complete the task we have undertaken. And as we go on meditating, we feel rapture or joy within ourselves. And this is the non-sensual. This joy, this peace is coming through meditation, not from the sensual organs like the eye, the ear, the nose, the tongue, and the body. So this is a non-sensual happiness, rapture. And this is followed by the tranquility of the mind and the tranquility of the body, this calm tranquility. And then comes the concentration, one-pointedness. And then the final factor is the equanimity, upekha. Now, and that is perfect neutrality. That is, in life, we are confronted with always, there are what are called 8 loka dhammas, world experience. That is called labo, alabo. That is, we gain things, we lose things. Ayeso vasocha. We become famous, popular, we become, our popularity goes. Ninda prasansa. We get praise, we get blame. Sukhancha dukkho. We feel happiness, we feel unhappiness. So in whatever condition that we are confronted with, we maintain total equanimity, and that is called upekha. And the 7 factors are called sapta bojjhanga. Sapta means 7, bodhi means enlightenment, and anga means causative factors. So, and they are also described as qualities of an enlightened person. And what is interesting is that the Buddha says that these 7 factors, they work in progression. So you need good mindfulness, perfect mindfulness, before you can do the investigation of Dhamma. And then from there, you can develop energy or effort. From there, the piti comes. From there, the tranquility comes. From there, the concentration comes. And finally, the upekha. So there's a progression of the 7 factors. Mindfulness gives rise to investigation of Dhammas, energy, then rapture, tranquility, concentration, equanimity. It works in a progressive order like that. And the 7th group is the Noble Eightfold Paths that we have discussed before as well, but let us quickly have a look at them. So the Noble Eightfold Path is the right view, samma ditti, right intention, samma sankappa, right speech, samma vacha, right action, samma kammanta, right livelihood, samma ajiva, right effort, samma vayama, right mindfulness, right samma sati, and right concentration, samma samadhi. I warned you, there are a lot of repetitions during. And this eight Noble Eightfold Path, Buddha has divided into 3, into morality group, the Sila. The Sila group contains the right speech, right action, and right livelihood. Then the second group calls concentration, samadhi, which is right effort, right mindfulness, right concentration. And the third group, panya, and that is right understanding and right intention. So we have to, when we develop the path, we have to progress from sila to samadhi and prajna. And the right view in the Noble Eightfold Path is really correct understanding of the noble truths. That's samma ditti, right view. And the right intention, there are 3 types of right intention. Right intention of renunciation, letting go, nekkhamma sankappa. Right intention of goodwill, metta, loving kindness. And the right intention of harmlessness, avihimsa, compassion, karuna. right speech, abstinent from telling lies, abstinent from malicious, backbiting, divisive talk, abstinent from harsh, blameful, hurtful speech, and abstinent from gossip, vain, idle chatter. So the right speech. Right action, Buddha has said, abstinent from killing any living beings, abstinent from stealing, and abstinent from any sexual misconduct. Right livelihood, there's an honest, ethical livelihood with no direct, indirect harm to anybody. And the Buddha has said that for lay people to avoid 5 types of trades: trading in human beings, trading in animals, trading in arms and weapons, trading in intoxicants, alcohol, illicit drugs, and trading in poisons. And the right effort, again, is repeated, the same 4 types of right effort I have already discussed, to prevent unwholesome factors arising, to abandon any unwholesome states that had arisen, effort to develop wholesome mental states, and effort to develop further any wholesome mental states that have already arisen. And right mindfulness, again, the Satipatthana, the 4 contemplations of the body, the feelings, the mind, and the mind objects. Right concentration, again, one-pointedness of the mind, focusing attention on one object. There are 40 objects that are described in the Buddhist literature suitable for samatha bhavana, concentration meditation. And selecting that, one, start meditating. And then as we go on meditating, as our concentration develops, we suppress the 5 mental hindrances. And with a well-concentrated mind, obviously then Buddha says, we are in a good position to go into insight meditation, to realize the 3 characteristics, anicca, dukkha, and anatta. And these are the 4 jhanas that we can develop through the concentration, the first jhana, second, third, and fourth jhana. So these are the 37 requisites and the 4 foundations of mindfulness, 4 right efforts, 4 bases of mental power, then 5 spiritual faculties, 5 spiritual powers, Sapta Bojjhanga, 7 factors of enlightenment, and finally, Noble Eightfold Path, 8. So altogether, and the enlightenment, obviously we have discussed before, when we cultivate the Buddhist path, cultivating these 37 factors, then enlightenment comes in 4 stages. In the first stage, that's called stream entry or Sotapanna, we eradicate 3 types of defilements called samyojanas: self-identity, sakkaya ditthi, skeptical doubt, vichikicca, and adhering to any rituals and rites. That's called silabbata paramasa, once become a sotapanna. And Buddha has said, once you become a sotapanna, you can become enlightenment either in the same birth or within a maximum of 7 births. And then the second stage of enlightenment is called once returner, sakadagami. And in this stage, having eradicated these fetters, one weakens the next 2 fetters of sensual desire and ill will. And they are called once returner because they are born only once more before becoming enlightened. And then the third group is non-returner. They are called anagamis. And an anagami has eradicated these 2 fetters as well. So an anagami has eradicated 5 out of the 10 fetters that we discussed last week. And the anagami is a non-returner and non-returner to the sensual world. Anagami is born once more in one of the Brahma worlds, celestial worlds, where he or she becomes enlightened and attain Nibbana. And the final stage of enlightenment, obviously, is Arahant. And the remaining 5 fetters, that means all the 10 fetters have been eradicated. An enlightened person that is a Nibbana, there's no rebirth. And in one of the discourses in the Anguttara Nikaya, if you can remember, the Anguttara Nikaya is the collection of Buddha's numerical discourses. There are over 9,000 discourses. In one of the discourses called Sambodhisutta, Buddha has described certain prerequisites that helps to develop the enlightenment factors. And the first one is called having good friends, admirable friends, good companions, comrades. And the second is the sila, the moral behavior, virtuous behavior, observing, if we are lay people, observing the 5 precepts or 8 precepts, or if they are monks or nuns, observing their own Vinaya disciplinary rules. And then listening to the Dhamma, listening to the teaching, hearing talk. And the 4th is obviously the effort again, you need effort. And to have some understanding of the arising and passing away of all the phenomena, that everything, there's origin and cessation of everything. And then to have some experience of developing contemplation on this is to abandon lust, like the contemplation of the 32 parts of the body, and some experience of loving kindness meditation to get rid of any feelings of ill will, and to have some experience of anapanasati bhavana, that is a mindfulness in breath and out breath, and to have developed some understanding of the impermanence, the anicca. And the Buddha says these factors, if one has developed, they will help to finally develop the 37 requisites of enlightenment. So I think I'll stop here, and if there are any questions, we can discuss. Thank you.